Hey everybody, welcome back to The Why, presented by All American Roof Pros and All American Heart Studios. Of course, I am your host, Dylan Mullins. Today, I'm excited to talk to somebody who I think we're going to connect really well. Just in the pre-show here, just chatting with him. Conversation was really good. But that's Mr. Josh Frazier. Josh, super excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, I tell everybody when we start these things, just kind of give me, like, if you're meeting me on the street, what's your elevator pitch? How would you describe yourself to me? Or, give me the first couple minutes here. What do you got?
Yeah, so to describe myself as quick as possible, I would say that I'm a devout Christian who is a hardworking man and loves what he does.
Awesome. I love that, man. Um, cool. Let's, you did like exactly like I would do in mine because I always go Christian father, husband, leader,
Right.
and I do it in that order very intentionally.
Mhm.
Um, what, let's talk about your faith. Let's just dive right into it, man. Where does that come from? Is that something you've had for a long time or is it something that's more recent? What's that look like?
Yeah. So I kind of like to reflect on the book of Job when I talk about my faith. So in the beginning, I was a very devout Christian, as I said, and that came from my father and my mother. Now, they actually met in church, and then 2 months later, they got married, and then they ended up having me and my little sister. So we kind of got grandfathered into Christianity. And from there, I kind of went adrift. So I went into college, I got into things that I shouldn't have been doing. I kind of went out and tried to figure it out on my own. Now, from there, I learned like the bad way, the so that actually led me back to Christ. And then I ended up one of the verses that really stuck with me was when I became a man, I put away all childish things. So it kind of made me reflect on what I was doing. And it was like all of these things are very childish that I'm doing. And now it's time to grow up. I'm in the real world, I'm on my own. And that's what got me back to my faith. So ever since then, been trying to read my Bible every single day.
So,
Like everyone else, I'm a sinner, but every single day, if I do anything, I repent for it. And yeah, I use him as my guiding light in everything that I do.
that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's so kind of like sounds like your story somewhat of like the prodigal son. As I kind of, the prodigal son's coming home and all that good stuff. Hopefully the sister wasn't upset like the brother was.
Right. Right.
But no, man, that's good stuff. I mean, it's when I talk about my faith a lot, I tell people the exact same thing. I'm a sinner saved by grace. It doesn't make me any better than anyone else.
Right.
I still screw up every day. I've probably screwed up in the last hour.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but it's cool. For me, I try to show people what I think Christ wants me to do, and rather than preach at you, I'd rather walk with you,
Mhm.
and you be like, "What's that guy doing different?"
Yeah.
You know?
Now, there's a saying that actually kind of goes with that as well. And it's someday you might be the only Bible someone reads.
That's good.
So with that, it's like I try to walk by faith and not by sight. And then I also try to be that guiding light for other people around me. So
Absolutely.
exactly what you were saying, walking with you, not trying to teach you how to walk, but showing you how to.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it too, like, and it works because otherwise it wouldn't do it. But like the people that are out on the street corner preaching at people,
Oh, yeah.
no one likes to be preached at.
Mhm.
Just like no one likes to really be sold.
Right.
Put things back in that perspective. Really, I mean, you're selling like I've said before. Like the preacher has the hardest job in the world
Yeah.
because he's selling something intangible. Like we know what it feels like. We know what that. But I can't deliver to you. Have to deliver to yourself. I just can walk with you to get there. Um, but I've just looked at my life and went, well, if I just do things the right way, that's what this. So I relate everything back to business too, because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
When I see somebody else doing something, I'm like, all right, what's that guy doing? What's he doing different? Like, why can't I be him? Because we all can.
Right.
We all are given a lot of power, a lot more power than we give ourselves credit for. A lot of times. Um, so the one thing you left out in your intro is obviously you're an MMA fighter.
Right. Yeah.
What's your primary discipline in that realm? Like, what got you? Let's hold on. Let's unpackage this thing. What got you started into it? Let's go. Let's do that first.
I could start at the very beginning.
Absolutely. Let's do it. We got time.
Oh yeah, we definitely. But yeah, so it all kind of happened all at once, almost seemingly. And it felt like God was moving a lot of things in my life simultaneously. So it felt like a lot, and it was like, wow, this is an avalanche. But really, it was just clearing the path for me.
Absolutely.
Now with that, basically, I was going to Bowling Green State University, as I was telling you, and at that time, I wasn't able to take the classes that I needed to graduate. They weren't offered to me, and the ones that were closed. So they were saying, Josh, you can only take one or two classes. And for me, financially, I was like, that doesn't make sense. My FAFSA is not going to cover that. So financially, that doesn't seem smart or sound. So that was domino number one. Domino number two was the fact that I lost my job. So I worked in marketing. I was the director of digital marketing as well as the national project manager for a experiential marketing company. So we basically marketed brands. And the way we went about it was trying to get them to feel something, the consumer or the business to feel something. And that's how we presented and like sold their different services and products. So I ended up losing my job because our CEO actually passed away and the entire company shut down. So that was domino number two. Now, domino number three, I was living in Bowling Green, hence why I was going to school there.
Yeah.
And my landlord came to me and was like, hey, we're going to triple your rent, buddy. So you can either stay put and pay the rent, or you can find somewhere else and it's not our problem. So I'm like, man, this just feels like so much happening at one time. And then, I begin to pray. I'm like, what's next? Like, there has to be something else that's going to happen. Like, there's something to come from this. And I was searching around for new apartments, and get this, my last name is Frazier, and I found an apartment in Findlay, Ohio on Frazier Street.
Okay.
So I'm like, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is.
Right.
So I took the leap and I ended up moving into that apartment, and I was training part-time during all of this. So I was training on my own. I would hit the bag and I would go with my buddies and we would train Muay Thai, which is one art of several.
Yeah.
And we would just spar lightly, on our own time, even in the living room of my buddy's house. So that's how I kind of got started. And when all this happened at one time, I just felt like, okay, this is a message to start taking this full time because this is my passion. I love doing it. And I looked up gyms near me and I saw a couple and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this on the back burner for right now. I'm gonna continue doing my own thing. And one day I went to Planet Fitness and I was working out. Now at the time I had a gash right in my eyebrow because I caught an elbow
Okay.
and split me right open. So I have butterfly stitches on. I look like that crazy guy that's just huffing and puffing in the gym. And this random guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I noticed, the butterfly stitches. Like, what happened?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I was doing Muay Thai with a couple buddies and I caught an elbow and it busted me wide open. And here I am now." And he was like, "Man, that's so cool. Like, where do you train at?" And I was like, well, I train with my buddies and I tried out a few different places, but it wasn't for me. And he was like, well, I've been looking at this gym. It's called Demolition Fight Team. And I was like, wow, I actually looked that one up and it's local. And that was one of the ones that I was interested in checking out. And so he was like, well, here's my number. And he gave me his number and he was like, let me know when you go and we can try it out together. And I was like, okay, perfect. So a week goes by. I'm like, should I go? I'm like, I'm gonna put it off. Now 2 weeks go by. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I text him and I'm like, hey brother, I'm gonna go check out this gym that you mentioned to me. You sent me the schedule. It says that they have practice tonight at 5 p.m. and no answer. So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. I'm not gonna go today. So the next day, hey, this is me again. I see that they have training at 5 p.m. once again. I'm gonna check it out. No answer. And I was like, okay, this time, not like last time. I'm gonna go regardless as if he comes with
Yeah.
me or not. So, but first I decide to give the gym a call. So I'm like, doo-doo-doo. And it rings and I'm like, hello? And then it goes, please leave a message after the voicemail. And I'm like, great. Okay. So I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go. And then I call one more time. Did it do? Hello? Please leave a message after. And I'm like, I'm just going to show up.
Yeah.
And
So what's gonna happen?
yeah, literally. So I walk in, the door's open, and someone peeks their head and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And soon to find out his name is Gates. And I'm like, "I'm here for practice." And he's like, "Well, practice actually isn't going on tonight. We're just here getting a private session in. And, you're more than welcome to jump in with us." And at the time, it was Gates, Dylan, and Benson, three of my teammates that I work with, almost every single day now. And they're some of my closest teammates. And so I'm like, sure, like, I'll jump in. And we start sparring and everything. And I'm talking to them, and they're like, "Hey, like, we'll send you the actual schedule. We're not supposed to be here. We're actually, we split time between here and Fostoria." And I've never even heard of Fostoria. I've never even been there at the
Yeah.
time. I'm moved to Findlay. And so I'm like, okay, like, I'll be back tomorrow because the next day was practice in Findlay. So I'm like, okay, I got the schedule and I'm coming back. So the next day, and that's another thing. It's like, by the grace of God, like, they weren't even supposed to be there, and nobody answered the phone, and I just kind of showed up.
Yeah.
So it was
Everything happens for a reason.
exactly like it was preordained.
Absolutely.
And so the next day happens, and I'm like such in a rush to get there on time that, I go in and I have this practice, and I get back to my bag, and I'm like, "Where's my keys?" So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, a lot of these people, like, someone might have took my keys.
Bad thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I'm looking around and I'm asking our coach, and our coach puts out a PSA on Facebook, like, "Whoever got the keys, if anybody's seen them, like, he needs them." So I end up sleeping on Gates's couch that night. And he didn't know me. So I was like, these are some really good people. And, like,
Which most fighters are.
right, and they just took care of me, like I was just family right away. So one thing led to another. I started training full time. They all told me the same thing: you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out when it comes to the sport. You will get hurt
Oh, yeah.
or worse.
Absolutely.
So I took that to heart, and I started training day in and day out, 2 to 3 times a day. And yeah, and now I'm a full time amateur MMA
Hey,
fighter.
I bought the keys. Where were they?
Yeah, the keys. Wait, you asked that getting carried away.
You're good, man.
Now, the keys, come to find out, because I was rushing, the next morning, we came out to the car,
And
and they were in the ignition. So we called out AAA, and I was able to get my keys, and the rest was history. So, yeah.
Where'd you grow up at?
So I grew up in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
I went to Northland High School. Shout out CCS and go Vikings. But yeah, I was an inner city kid, and then halfway through high school, I eventually ended up moving out to the sticks, the middle of nowhere. I had culture shock. I was one of the only white kids, and now I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what to do.
Went from the minority to the majority. Right?
Exactly. So it was a very surreal feeling, and there was a lot of things that I had to carry with me day in and day out with that, and a lot came with that. So
Did you wrestle in high school?
no. So
That's a weird thing because
Yeah.
you guys have a wrestling background.
exactly. And
Best foundation of an MMA fighter is wrestling.
yeah, and you see it now with all the top names like Khabib, that,
cool.
like, historically, and then Marab right now, and Hamza. I mean, recently he just pretty much dog walked DDP for 5 rounds.
And I'm not even a huge fan of him, but you gotta respect the guy.
Exactly. Like, it's just relentless rest.
Absolutely.
And when you don't know how to defend it, or you can't defend it, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, if I'm trying to strike, and the best way to take someone down is while they're striking, it's gonna be it's a hard time for you.
Yeah, unless it depends on the weight class you're fighting. That's what's crazy about the sport. Because I follow the sport
Yeah.
pretty well. Just with because I coached wrestling for 9 years, I think. I get mixed up, but then I wrestled in high school, obviously too. And when you look at the fundamentals of the sport, your lighter weight class can get away with throwing the punches.
Right.
They can get away with because they're more wiry guys. But the heavier you get, the easier it is for you if you can get them on the ground and
Yep.
just beat them into submission.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's what you want to do, right?
Mhm.
And we always told our guys, it's impose your will. That's the same thing in your sport.
Yeah.
It's the fundamentals and the principles. And even I was telling you, I've taken a few BJJ classes, and my buddy who's in it, actually, the guy that you just fought in Sandusky,
Yeah.
fights out of Adrenaline. I know where I've taken a few classes at,
Nice.
and Chris Summers. I don't know if you know Chris at all, but he's a trainer out there, and he's one of my really good friends. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm so excited to have you in here with a wrestling background." He's like,
Yeah.
"You understand I'm not teaching you from scratch because for you with no fighting background, it was probably like foreign language,
Yeah.
you
A
know,
little bit. Yeah.
because especially I don't know how much BJJ you train, but it's controlling your body weight more than anything, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Hips.
Yes, it's all in the hips, and it's all in being able to feel out their body weight and your body weight, and it's very fluid. And
Right.
you look at your top guys, and they either have a wrestling or a BJJ background because that's where I laugh because if you watch like old school UFC when it was like this heavyweight title boxer versus this heavyweight wrestler,
Right.
the wrestler always won
Yep.
because it doesn't. Those guys can't strike from the a boxer can't strike from his back.
Exactly.
Like it
You
makes
can only
sense.
generate
Yeah,
so much power.
exactly. So that's cool, man. What disciplines do you train in primarily now?
So right now, BJJ wrestling, as you know, because that's the dominant factor of the sport currently in today's society.
And I think it's gonna stay that way.
Yeah.
It's the oldest freaking, the Greeks were doing it. Like,
And it's like grunt work primarily, especially the wrestling, as you may know. And but I'm a striker by trade. So I train kickboxing, boxing, and like I said, I started at the beginning with Muay Thai.
yeah.
So I have those three under my belt, and then yeah, and a little bit of judo actually. I've started getting into different trips and throws and things of that nature. So
So do you have your pro card now, or are you still AMI?
I'm still AMI. Yeah. Yep. I'm still paving my way. I don't want to rush it because I do have a chip on my shoulder right now, without having that wrestling background. So, but as you saw in my last fight, he's been wrestling since a little kid.
Oh, he's a hell of a fighter.
Yeah. So, and I defended like a, a lot of his takedowns. Cage wrestling looked beautiful. But as the commentators were saying, it doesn't matter if I stuff 100% of the shots, he's getting control time. So he's the aggressor. So there's a lot of things I went back and I went to the drawing board and I have to fix and change and a lot of things that I have to build anew. And I'm ready to go out there again and get another win.
Well, that's the biggest thing at the end of the day is if you can't learn from, and that's just a life lesson.
Oh, yeah.
I used to tell my kids, especially, we don't lose here, we learn.
Right.
And there's a huge difference. Losers go and throw their headgear and have a fit, go scream at their parents and do all that good stuff. Learners go, all right, what did I do? What could I have done differently? Why in this position? What could I have done to get out of said position? Or how could I have been more of the aggressor?
Right.
Whatever that is for you at the end of the day, right? That's what it really comes back to. And we tell people that here. There's so much in sports in general that you can take into the real world, and that's why I'm such a huge proponent to it.
Yeah.
Is how do we just make sure that we are learning rather than a loss? Like we take losses here all the time. If you want to look at it that way,
Sure.
like I say, hey man, just don't make sure the same mistake doesn't happen again. Same thing happens in my personal. Like my wife and I are going to screw up as parents, dude. That's how old are you?
I'm 24.
No, so you're a young pup, but
Yeah.
and when you have kids, you'll realize like my parents were doing it for the first time too. So like, even though like I look back and maybe it wasn't the right way, I don't got a clue what I'm doing, dude.
Right.
Like most days I am making shit up. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, nope. That sounds right. And our parents were doing the same thing. And once you can kind of see that, because my parents, when they were in their 20s, well, they were both 20.
Oh, wow.
So they were kids raising kids,
Yeah.
and they had two by the time they were 20, 21. And actually both of them were just at 21, and, but once you start looking at that stuff, you go, okay, it makes a little bit more sense now. And they were just learning and they're better now than they were. And they did better with our younger siblings and all that good stuff. And, but at the end of the day, man, like it's the same principles throughout life, whether you're fighting or whether you're running a business or whether you're trying to run a household or, whether you're just trying to become a better person. If you just don't chalk anything up as a loss, then nothing, you can't fail.
Yeah.
The only time you fail is when you stop.
That's exactly right.
Now granted, there's a guy out of Mansfield and good for him. He's 50 years old going out and fighting. I don't know if that's the wisest decision in the world. Oh, wait, man, said they still ain't gave up,
Yeah.
He's making I think he's doing hiatus for 17 years. I was reading an article on it earlier. Super cool. But, yeah, it's, there's always more to life than, chalking it up as a loss and looking at yourself as, oh, I failed or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Shay, how long have you been training for?
Yeah, that's actually the caveat right there. Full time, I've only been training for going on 7 months now. And I've kind of exploded light years ahead of a lot of guys that have been doing it for a few years just because of my pure tenacity and the way I train and how often I train. A lot of it I owe to discipline. And it's kind of like with the story that you just said about the 50-year-old man, it's never too late to start.
Absolutely.
And like I said earlier, I do have a chip on my shoulder because of the fact that I didn't have any combat sport experience prior to me becoming a full-time MMA fighter. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, I have to do this. I have to train the way I do. I have to be very meticulous about the information that I'm putting into my body, into my brain, and kind of how do I go about getting a one up on everybody else, because everybody else has been either wrestling since they've been a kid or doing some kind of discipline in the arts. And, I'm a little bit late to the game, but as we just established, it's never too late.
But I would argue perspective is everything, right? Because as somebody with a wrestling background has, yes, they know how to control their body, but they also may get caught in more because they weren't training for MMA,
Right.
so they have to relearn disciplines too.
Yep.
Because, when you take someone to the ground, one of the worst positions. So for me, I'll use me for experience.
Mm,
So for example,
sure.
when I go to the ground, I don't want to give up my back.
Yeah.
And BJJ, you have to give up your back or you're going to you're going to get submitted. Like that,
Yeah.
they're going to put you in a rear naked choke. It's
Yeah.
the easiest freaking one in the entire world. And you're going to be, looking at the ceiling counting sheep.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
not having, so, look, I'll use one that's really close. So for sales reps here, we don't hire guys with experience. We try to intentionally not do it.
Right.
I do that because I don't want bad habits. The same can be said for somebody in,
Yep.
so it's all perspective based, right? And some companies will only hire guys with experience. They won't hire entry level, so it's all a matter in how does the people around you, how are they able to mold you, right?
Right.
Um, the other, so do you have another job or this it?
Yeah, this is pretty much it. And the thing is that like I told you, I have a background in marketing, so that kind of plays twofold with what I'm doing currently. So there's a business side to fighting, of course, and then there's the fighting side, the fun side.
Absolutely.
And the business side is like getting sponsors, reaching out to people. So I reach out to about 100 businesses daily. So those are like, think of it like sales, right?
Absolutely.
And then
Sales is marketing. Marketing is sales.
exactly. And then the content is, my brand or the marketing side of things. So I'm constantly putting out like different messages, like showing, my faith in different ways or showing like motivation for people. And then what I'm doing in the room, like training, like montages or videos and things of that nature. So there's a lot that goes on behind closed doors that a lot of people don't see. And that's the business side of things. And then you got, the editing and, the graphics, and there's so much that goes into it. But yeah, like I get to use that side still, like my experience in marketing and sales and that kind of thing. And I get to, display that in my fight game as well. So that's the beauty of, yeah.
Absolutely. Do you help other guys out with theirs? Is that kind of like part of how you pay your bills is taking some of their money too to do it?
No, I mean, I will do that, but we do that out of the kindness of our hearts. Like my teammate got me started with it, and we help other guys as well. So that's kind of how we go about it. It's just like blessing because I got blessed. So that's kind of how we go about it.
Well, the only reason I ask is because I had one of my assistant wrestling. Well, he was the head coach, and then it's a whole thing.
Mm.
Either way, I coached with him, and he actually had the rec room here in Ashland. That's one thing he said is fighters are terrible to pay their bills. Like you can't get them to pay their damn gym fees to save their life.
Mhm.
Most of the time because they're fighters and that's what they're focused on. And unfortunately, even at a pro level locally, there's not a ton of money in it. Hell, even look at your, smaller UFC cards.
Right.
Most of those guys are making 25 grand at best. Like that's a good contract
Yeah.
to be on a prelim card.
Yep.
So there's not a ton of money in it unless you get to that high level, right? Where you're actually fighting for a belt or, fighting for more. So that's why I ask is, I understand the financial because I look at everything from a business perspective to a
Mhm.
degree. My wife's in the horse business, so like there ain't no money in that shit, dude. Don't marry a horse girl. Love her to death. Love you, baby. Um, but it's you have to start to figure out like, because there is like money. I have a weird relationship with it. I tell everybody that, but it still makes the world go round. Like we still need it to function in society. So I was just curious, 7 months in from doing it full time, which I applaud you for. Like chase your passions, chase your dreams. I tell kids that all the time. But also like, how have you found success in it? I guess is what I'm asking in circumventing. Like you said, basically on the sponsorship level is most of it,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then I'm assuming you're creating content, so you're getting paid on some creator funds and things like that from
Sure.
Facebook
Yep.
and TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yeah, primarily, I do Facebook and Instagram and then Snapchat as well. So those are the big 3 for me. I'm getting, like, over let's see, this last month is, like, 60,000 views, and, like, 2 of my most recent videos are ones that kind of exploded, like, 15,000, 10,000 views alone. So that's, like, the content side. Now there's also more ways of getting paid. So there merchandise, so T-shirt sales, things of that nature. There's ticket sales, and then as you brought up, the content, and then there's also sponsorships. And then once we get to the pro level, then we also get paid to actually fight and take the fight, paid to win, paid to show up. But then there's also the other disciplines too, like if I took a boxing match at the pro level, all those different things. There's a lot of different ins and outs of that. The biggest thing would probably be ticket sales and sponsorships, though. Big on the sponsorship.
Cool. Yeah, just curious because, like I said, I've been around the sport vicariously, whether that's as a spectator or just in passing or with
Right.
buddies who are in it, and I know even promotions don't make great money
Yeah.
at the small level.
Yeah.
We used to have one around here, RKO, I think is what it was.
What-
We used to have it at the Richland County Fairgrounds. I mean, ever since I was a kid up until my late 20s, they had it, and they shut it down because he's like, "I lose money every time we go out and fight."
Right.
And it's like, "How? The place is packed."
Mhm.
And I don't understand all of it at the same time. Um, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you found your way with that, and that's always, roofing's not my passion, people are,
Mhm.
is kinda the way that I put it, and if you can figure out how to do that in life in general, you'll never be a unsatisfied person,
Right.
you know? You said you read a lot. What's your favorite book?
The Bible. That's the
That's a easy one. I get it. What's number 2? What's number 2?
number 2 would probably be Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was the first book that kind of got me
Oh,
started.
Robert Kiyosaki?
Yep. And I went through like his whole series, Why the Rich are Getting Richer and things of
You read
that
Money
nature.
Works? Is that what it's called?
Money Works. No, I haven't read that one.
Is that what's called? Now I think I screwed that up. It's How Money Works or how transactions work with money. It might be Money Works. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I do 50 a year. So
Oh, okay.
I bury myself. I do a lot of audiobooks 'cause I drive a lot. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
most of what anywho, sorry. I cut you off. Kiyosaki's good though.
Yeah, and one of my favorites though is the art or the science of self-learning. Uh,
I've never heard of that one.
yeah, we kind of got into it a little bit in the pre-show, but it kind of goes into how do you teach yourself? Because we're always taught how to be taught, but not how to be the teacher as well. So kind of having that self-directed learning pathway. So we grow up and we're all fed this information like this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And there's one right answer to everything. So it's either A, B, C, or D, and you don't know which one. And then if you try to collaborate, is what we call it in the real world, in my opinion. If we try to collaborate with somebody, it's called cheating. So it kind of is like getting that nailed into your head where, that's the wrong thing to do. But as you may know in business, you have to collaborate in order to succeed. But with the school system and the education system, we're taught different things that kind of limit ourselves and limit our thinking. We're still on the Prussian system, which is outdated, which, if you don't know, is essentially to breed soldiers back in the 18th century. So Germany actually came up with that system and they were trying to breed non free thinkers, people that are just going to follow the rules blindly. And the US kind of looked at that during the industrialization period. And they were like, we can make a lot of workers this way.
Yeah, we used it to make factory workers.
Exactly.
And that there's the conspiracy theories. I don't know how much truth there is to it, so I don't want to put a label on it. But the
Right.
Rockefellers and
Oh, yeah.
Vanderbilts and all that brought it in as the way to fill their factories,
Yeah.
essentially. And if you think about it, like here's my issue. I need people like that. Fuck this.
Right.
Because if everybody was an entrepreneur, my life would be boring.
Yeah.
That's what I literally tell everybody. I'm like, if everybody was, and I was just having a conversation with a business owner about this earlier. Like, not everybody's cut out for that too,
Yeah.
you know, because we all have different personality types. We all learn different. And one thing I do think that we're doing really well here, because I am involved a little bit with the school systems, whether that's on the vocational side or
Mhm.
just going and speaking. I've been pretty blessed in that aspect.
Amazing.
One thing I think we're doing well is we're pushing more vocation. We are doing a great job of actually moving the needle to get kids, because you look at it, and I've said it numerous times. My trade, whoever's trade, is going to end up making more than doctors and lawyers
Yeah.
at some point, because there's such a low demand or high demand but low workforce.
Yep.
It's basic level principles to supply and demand. I mean, most of your electricians are making $80, $90 an hour now.
Yeah.
Most of your plumbers are making $70, $80 an hour. Most of your roofers are making $50, $60 an hour. Like,
Exactly.
there is money in this stuff. But once again, I think if you put your entire focal point in life on money, your life's going to be miserable,
Mhm.
you know? And back to the Bible, right? Because everybody that's the most misquoted thing in the Bible. The root of all evil is money. It's not. It's the love of money.
Right.
Quit taking words out.
Mm.
Do not make money your idol, which,
Right.
back to the commandments, it's a false idol by saying that money is my value as a human being. And my value as a human being is how I treat other human beings at the end of the day. And that's just kind of how I look at life. But I'm the guy that sat on the morning announcements here at the local school district and said, hey, if you don't want to go to college, don't.
Yeah.
Because I
I
think that
agree.
I have a teaching degree, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and granted, I use things like, I don't look at it as a negative, right? You have a degree in marketing. Like, it's not necessarily a negative that you have that, or you almost have a degree in marketing, as you stated. It's not a negative, right? That we have those things, because we can take value from those, and we learned experience, and we found out what not to do.
Exactly.
But
And like with school too, like they had the idea right. Like you're going into debt in order to gain something, which is education or like a better.
and in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Even the into the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. But now people are paying this money and they're doing what I did, which is join a fraternity and
Get the
yeah,
experience.
exactly. The experience, like we're partying and we're doing all these different things, but we're not focusing on why we're actually here. And it's to learn to better ourselves or to create different connections that are going to benefit us in the future. So a lot of people aren't understanding or looking at it like, what's the ROI of this? They're just looking at it as, well, my parents said I had to, and this is the only way to succeed. And this is why I'm doing it. But there's multiple ways to the top of the mountain. And that's what people don't really understand. And it all is habitual. So we're creatures of habit naturally. So in order to get to the top of the mountain, you have to have good habits. People are trying to get to the top of the mountain, but they have downhill habits. So they keep climbing and they keep falling, but it's what we put in place. So back to the books, there's a great book. It's called um, it's by Robert Greene. And man, what is it? I'm trying to think right now. But essentially, he goes into this, and I'm sure it'll come back
Yeah.
when it'll hit
Good.
me. But he calls it habit stacking, which is a great form of building new habits. And
I'm trying to think of the name of the book, because I've read it.
yeah, I know. It's right there on the tip of my.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
it's all good. We'll remember it the second the cameras are off.
Right.
It's all good.
It tends to happen that way.
Yeah.
But there's this thing called habit stacking, and that's what kind of helped me get into the gym, honestly. Because at first, I wasn't eating good at all. Like I had downhill habits, and so I started reading that book, and I was like, okay, well, the first habit I need to build is a good work ethic. And the only way I can do that is by building trust with myself, because I'm saying I'm going to do all these things, but I'm not. So subconsciously, I don't trust myself to do it. So what I had to do was start building these habits slowly but surely. So I used the habit stacking, and what I would do is, okay, I enjoy watching TV. Okay, now while I'm watching TV, I'm going to stack that habit with doing push-ups or doing sit-ups. So I started slowly but surely, and I was self-conscious at the time, so I didn't want to go in the gym at all. So I started with what's called calisthenics, bodyweight
Yeah.
workouts. So I did it all at home, and I did it through habit stacking initially, until I did it for about 2 to 3 weeks, and now it was ingrained in me and deep rooted in me to just start doing these workouts. And then I started building a whole calisthenics workout plan. And then from there, I started going and inching myself into the gym. And then I realized the biggest thing about the gym is we're all self conscious and we're all going there.
You're not there because you think you look great.
Exactly. So that's kind of what helped me at the beginning. But with the habits in general, like, that's what we have to build because we're habitual creatures. As you said, you read 50 books a year. That is an amazing habit, and that's going to breed success. So how can we build, habits that are going to breed success? How are we going to build habits that are going to help us get to the top of the mountain?
Well, and that's the thing with a lot of folks is, so I go back to, I did a short term mission in Africa.
Oh, wow.
I was over there for 10 days.
That's amazing.
Thank you. It was really cool. If you ever get the chance to, man,
Oh,
go.
I bet. Yeah, I don't even have my passport, so that's the first thing.
Yeah, yeah, it was really cool. But I look at the people there and they were happier than the people here.
Mhm.
And they have nothing. I mean, the average wage there is something great, like $50 a month or something. And
Mm.
that was a good job. Um, and then I look at the folks here and we all bitch because we don't have a big enough TV or nicest shoes or whatever that is. And that's the problem is our habits are in gluttony
Mm.
is really what it comes down to. And it really transcends into how we are as humans. Eh? And my problem is, you talk about being self-conscious. I don't give a shit. I've got a beautiful wife.
Right.
Like I'm fat. I know I'm husky. Um, so I don't need to go to the gym. I'm like, yeah, so that's where that's a bad habit for me. I don't really care, right?
Right.
Like, hey, like me, don't like me. I don't give a shit. Um, but when we look at the people here, like we all can live well within our means.
Mhm.
Everybody here can make $20,000 a year and live a decent life.
Right.
You'll have everything you need. And we all want to bitch because, oh, the government's not giving us enough or whatever the hell that is. That's a whole other side topic. But if we really put it down to if we lived well within our means, we would do just fine.
Yep.
But we don't. That's our issue with society and the way that we work, right? That's the same as like when we're talking to kids about back to the college talk. We're talking to kids about college. Look, you want to this is the jobs you need to do to be a good citizen, doctor, lawyer, engineer, blah 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 blah. But that's not the case. The case is whatever you're passionate about. Now find out to fit within your
Right.
passions. Back to the college thing. I already said that once. Way to go, Dylan. You sound like an idiot. But the other thing I have an issue with is like, okay, why do we need? I was joking with Maggie because I watched her college graduation.
Mhm.
I swear to God, 500 kids graduated with a freaking art degree or a history degree, and I'm like, okay, cool. I love history just as much as the next guy. But how many librarians do we need? How many history teachers do we need? How many But meanwhile, and she's graphic design was her degree. She had like 6 kids in her class. Graphic design is a real world application.
Right.
I'm not saying history isn't a real world application, but too oftentimes we're telling kids too much to follow their passion.
Mhm.
And I'm not degrading the folks with a liberal arts degree. I think they're and all that good stuff. But I would also make the argument of just the way our college is put together in general, that the other issue is most of them aren't actual practitioners,
Right.
as you found out in
Yes.
college. I'm getting taught by someone here, the one that gets me. I got a business degree. Okay, cool. Awesome. How many of your professors have actually started a business or run a
Yeah.
business?
That's the biggest thing for me. And I was
Like,
just like, how can I learn from someone who hasn't actually done it themselves?
Yes.
So
And wisdom.
yeah, and then the other thing is that I found out halfway through is I don't need a degree to start a business. So why am I doing this? And I later found out my reason why, obviously, is because my mother was a school teacher, so I owe it to her. I'm going to honor her to finish up school and get that degree. But beyond that, like I just view it as a piece of paper that I don't necessarily need because in the beginning I wanted to start my own business. Now, tying that in with MMA, as I told you, there is a business side, and
Yeah.
I myself am the business. I am the brand. So that's another whole nother thing. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me was that my teachers only know what they're talking about because they read about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they studied it to the point where they got a doctorate and they had theory on it. Right.
Right.
And I don't think there's lack of merit in doing so. But the issue comes back to you're asking these people to go out into the real world with the knowledge that you're bestowing upon them,
Mhm.
and you don't have any knowledge yourself.
Right.
That's where my issue. It has nothing to do with the fact of that's your field of study. That's great. But here's my issue. Yeah, I probably still don't know how to read a P&L. That's great. But I tell you what, I can sell with the best of them. I can produce the best product. I can make customers happy. Like I figured out the fundamentals inside of a business.
Yeah.
Marcus Lemonis, I don't know if you remember the show The Profit.
Yes.
On MSNBC, one of my favorite shows. He's actually coming back out with another one on Fox now. Um, and People Process and Profit. I remember watching that show and like now I look back on it and I'm like, yeah, people process and profit or product. I'm sorry. People process and product. Do you have those three things? Nobody can stop you.
Right.
But if something's not working, one of those three is broken, right? And for you as a solopreneur, like I hope the people isn't the problem, right?
Yeah.
That's where you gotta take an inward look, and
Right.
if that's what the broken piece is, then that's what you got to figure out. But profit comes from that, from those three things. I did a talk to a group of business owners at a breakout at a business conference on people, process, and how they profit. Because I think the product in my industry is very. I want to say this, but I'll say it because I don't care. People don't buy from us because we have the best shingle in the market. They buy from us because I've got great people and we have a great process in handling issues when they arise.
Right.
The same can be said for any business, though, right? You look at, I use McDonald's a lot as a reference point. You don't go there because you're getting a great burger. The product is not the reason. It's because they have a great process. It comes out the exact same way every time, and most of the time, the people are somewhat cheery.
Right.
They've always got some old grandma working the breakfast line in the morning. It's like, this is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Besides when they're ice cream machine.
Yeah, it's always down. It's freaking. That's like one of the Newton's laws, man. He should have wrote that in that their ice cream machine is going to be broken. My wife and I are getting into the ice cream business, and I started looking. They have Taylor machines, so I know they don't go down that often. So I'm like, oh, like geeked out. But I go all in on anything that I do. Any lane that I get into, I have an all or none mentality.
Right.
And you probably do too, especially with what you're doing.
Exactly.
But great entrepreneurs do, right? Like I have no quit. I am too dumb to fail. That is literally what it comes down. I am not smarter than anybody else. All of this building that you're sitting in right now, I'm not smarter than anybody. There are 1,000 people watching this right now who are smarter than me. But I'll tell you what, I'll outwork your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Promise. Guaranteed.
Every time.
No question.
Right.
Like I will work you so hard. I will outwork you so hard. I don't care how smart you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And it's just when you take that perspective on life and you go, no one's going to outwork me. You may be better than me at something. You may look better than me. You may do this, that, or the other. You're not going to outwork me.
Exactly. Hard work beats talent every time.
Exactly. Hard work applied in the right direction. Correct. There's a piece of that. Hard work beats talent. Talent doesn't work hard. I used to hang on my bedroom wall when I was a kid because I was never a great athlete. My brother Brandon was a much better athlete than me by leaps and bounds. But I would outwork you.
Yep.
And because my dad works with us here at the business, pictures there. But sometimes he's the hardest worker I know by far. But sometimes he'd be rowing that boat in the wrong direction. It's like, hey, bro, we're over here. Come on. You just gotta give him a little bit of guidance. After that, people need some guidance sometimes, and that's okay. But yeah, our system is it's getting better. From what I can tell, because Dr. John Maxwell, Maggie's gonna laugh because I quote him all the time, but Dr. John Maxwell talks about it. Don't send your ducks to Eagle School because they'll fail every time. If you ask a duck to soar with eagles, he won't be able to do it.
Hmm.
Or the old adage of don't ask a fish to do what a bird can. Like
Right.
you just can't do those things, and that's what our society does. We put these metrics on freaking. Like I was talking to a couple kids that were going back to school in my wife's lesson program the other day, and like I'm not good at math, and I'm like, that's fine. Just do your best. That's all that matters.
Mhm.
I need you to be able to count change back to me, and even that's going away. We're a cashless society nowadays. You can't go anywhere with actually have cash. I don't even need you to count change back. I just need you to know that they handed you the right change back,
Mm.
right? Or roughly. And she's not good at math. She's not good at math. Why the hell are we so worried about these stupid state tests that we're putting so much pressure on these poor kids when their real passion is in writing? She may be the best freaking creative writer you've ever seen.
Sure.
And she may be a great copier for some marketing company someday. Like there's so many applications outside of it. She doesn't have to go be a writer.
Mhm.
I don't need to read her book someday.
Yeah. And like the test scores and the grades are just like, okay, this is your value. You're basically measuring your own self-worth with a grade or with a number that is saying you are smart or you are dumb. But the thing is that maybe I'm just not a good test taker. Maybe I'm not good under stress. And this is why I scored this number, but I'm amazing in the arts or I'm amazing at the trades or whatever the case may be. But it's just one test that depicts my entire future or what I at least think of my future or think of myself. And back to the Bible, it says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So our reality begins in our mind. So with knowing that, it's like, okay, what am I inputting? And that's going to depict my output. So what knowledge am I, um, taking in? What information am I, you know, putting into my brain? And that's what's going to exactly come out. So whatever I think I can do is going to manifest in reality. So, and then another thing is, praying, but believe that you have already received it. So when it goes to the mind, the power of the mind, I like talking about this because there's a lot of things. So the Bible also speaks a lot about the power of the tongue. It's the most powerful thing, right? But
How were we created? We were created in God's image.
exactly,
And how did God create everything?
he's a creator.
He said.
Yeah,
He spoke everything into existence. If we're creating God's image, we have the exact same power that he does to manifest. It sounds woo-woo,
yeah,
right? But if you're a true believer, because that's my other, we could go on that topic
oh yeah,
forever about Christians and the people that like to nitpick the freaking Bible. So I could go on for that. And I'm not a purist by any means. I think that's the issue with the Bible and why there's so many denominations is it's open for translation and
right,
open for how you want to hear it. But we were all created by a creator that made us in his image and likeness.
yeah,
And that creator spoke into existence what we have today, everything that's in front of us. So by you saying, I'm going to use my buddy. So I got his book right here, Hunter Blue, Make It Count. Great book for anybody at home. Hunter sold his company and became a millionaire overnight. Sold a different company. Buddy went up to him and said, "Hey man, I didn't mean to cut you off, by the way.
no, you
So apologize. You were on a good tangent." But buddy went up to him and said, "Hey man, how's it feel to be a millionaire?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, you got the wire transfer today. How's it feel to be a millionaire?" He goes, "I was already a millionaire. The money just wasn't in the bank." It's like, God, dude, I'm living my life so wrong.
yeah,
I'm living my life so wrong. So that's what I'm like, I'm worth $100 million. No, I am worth $100 million.
yep,
I just don't have it.
exactly,
We just ain't the check ain't cleared yet. It's cool.
exactly,
And when you start looking at things, you're exactly right. Once you start believing in what you have, and the other thing too is like when a prayer's unanswered, it's usually for your benefit.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
If you're praying for a fight and it never happens, that dude was probably going to murder you.
yeah,
I mean, it's not a bad thing,
right,
you know? But yeah, when you actually like, I'm not a woo-woo guy, but I believe affirmations are real.
mhm,
And I'm terrible with them. I really am as a human. But one thing I will always do with my kids is we will say affirmations every single day.
yeah,
I am beautiful. I am kind. I am a leader. Those things, and whatever you define that those are for your family, pick 5 of them and instill those into your children. And because the greatest thing that we can pass down to the next generation as a gift is something that is intangible, that's in between the ears that nobody else can touch.
exactly,
And it's, everybody wants, "Oh, I want to just leave this to my kids." No, 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 no. My kids ain't getting shit. I tell you.
Mm.
Well, she's 18, 16 months old. I ain't told, not, but she will know that.
Yeah.
This is mommy and daddy's money. You get the privilege of enjoying it.
Mm.
That's great. We want to do great things with our money. That's my wife and I's goal together,
Right.
whether that's us traveling or us giving back or whatever those things are.
Mhm.
However, I hope that I can instill enough in my kids that they can go out and make whatever's theirs.
Right.
Because if my children want to be, back to the McDonald's thing, a McDonald's worker, you better be the best mother burger flipper that's ever walked the face of the.
Exactly.
Just do it and do it great.
Yeah.
That's my ask.
Mhm.
That's my ask for my kids. And then hopefully I'll be the guy that's talked about. Because what's the old saying that everybody dies twice? You die physically first time and you die the second time when people stop talking about you.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
First time I heard that. Yeah, that's powerful.
But do you think about that, dude? Like, you probably have someone in your life that's passed away that was really powerful to you.
Mhm.
My grandfather's the one for me.
Yeah.
My dad's dad, he's one of my heroes. He always will be. And I will do my best to make sure that my kids know of the impact that man had on my life.
Right.
That is the ultimate gift. Like, how many people can you touch to the point where you can live on for generations?
Yeah.
You don't have to be president of the United States to be a great human and to live on for generations. What you do have to do is just be a positive influence on those whose lives you get the opportunity to touch.
Yeah.
And maybe that is through leading someone to Christ
Right.
that you may not even know about.
Mhm.
How many people have listened to a podcast or me speak somewhere or that I just happened to cross paths with, that the Jesus conversation came up with, that when you got saved, that I have no idea about?
Right.
How many? I don't know. You can never put a tangible number on it, right?
Mm.
How cool is that? How cool is that? And then we just say the redheaded guy. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool with me. I don't care. Yeah, I made my name. But when you take life and you go, if that's all I have to do is just create positive influence,
Mhm.
life's so much easier.
Yeah.
Can't worry about the freaking money in the bank.
Right.
The money's coming. The time just hasn't elapsed.
Mhm.
Let the time come.
We're already the millionaire.
Yes. The check just ain't cleared the bank, baby.
Exactly.
That puts your value on the fact of how much you're worth.
Exactly.
Puts your value of how much you're worth to other people. That's the real pie.
Mhm.
That's like the gift. All right. We podcasts heard me talk about it a lot, but I need to get around to writing the damn thing before somebody else steals my idea. But I'm working on the premise of a book called Identity Crisis, because we all have one.
Mhm.
If Josh puts his entire identity in being a fighter, that fighting career is going to end.
Right.
What happens? Does Josh die? Hope not. Right? But if Josh puts his power in being a great, that's why I always say Christian husband, father, leader.
Right.
I can stop being a leader tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hope I don't stop being a dad tomorrow. And I sure as hell don't hope I stop being a husband. But if either of those three go away, I can put my power in being a Christian.
Mhm.
So if
And
you create this order of how you want to be looked at, like that was one of the first, I commend you for saying that's one of the first, like that's one of the first things you said. We sat down in this chair.
Yep.
This is who I am. And once again, I don't think either of us are the type of people who are just going to go out and scream it to everybody, because it's not who we are. But I'll sure as hell going to bring it up if I get the opportunity in conversation,
Exactly.
because I'm the guy that cusses all the time. And I'm a Christian. And people are like, yeah, purist, it's fine. Show me in the Bible where it says that. I know there's some words I'm not allowed to say, but it ain't one of those. Like, that's where, it's a good representation of Christ. Absolutely not. Is it something I struggle with? Absolutely. But it's just something I've chosen not to work too hard on, because it's not high on my priority list.
Right.
It is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, man, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just, something came over me. Oh, that's what the hell that was. But what's what's been the hardest time for you in your life?
Mm. That's a good one.
I get them every once in a while.
The hardest thing that has gone on in my life.
Hey, you're a young man, so
Yeah. Well, at this age, I still feel like I've lived many lives within these 24 years, man. And I've had a lot of different experiences as well. And one of the hardest things I would say is definitely the car accident I was in when I was 6 years old. And, I remember every single detail, and it all began in 2008. It was a month before my birthday. My birthday is May 12th, and you can do the math. But,
Okay, I was sitting here, I'm like, he would have been 7, but it's fine. It's
but it happened in April. So it happened in
yeah.
April, so I was 6, and I actually was in the hospital on my birthday, so that's another thing. We'll get to that, though. And so it was April 4th, 2008, and we are on our way to go see our grandmother. She was actually sick at the time, so we were going to see her because we didn't know of her situation, what was going on. We just wanted to be there with her. And, it was my mother, my older sister who was pregnant at the time, my little sister, and then myself. And we were on our way. It was to Youngstown, and we were so close. We were in Akron, Ohio, which
About an hour out.
yeah, it's for us, it was about half.
From Columbus, yeah, that was a little over halfway.
Yeah, so, and it was, raining a little bit that day, and we were on the freeway, and my little sister and I were kind of arguing in the back seat over some kind of sippy cup or whatever.
Something silly, yeah.
Right. So my sister's looking back. She's like, "Hey, like you guys need to stop arguing." And we stopped for a little bit, and then as kids normally do, we just
Started back.
start back up. And so, my mom had enough of it, and she looked back to kind of like yell at us, and then really, we need to stop now. But as she did that, we drifted off, and we hit a highway sign, and we flipped front bumper to back bumper 7 times. And during that, I flew out of the car into the median, and, yeah, and luckily, just like weeks before this, I memorized my home phone number,
Okay.
and which is very important. All you parents out there, get your kids to memorize your home phone number at the very minimum.
In today's world, it's mom's cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 182, hand us something.
Um, and so everybody was out of it, and the police ended up being able to wake me up, for like a split second. And, who are you? Like, what's your home phone number? Do you have any contact? And, I tell them kind of who I am, and I tell them my home phone number, and then I'm back out like a light. And my mother, my older sister, they both had to get life flighted to the nearest hospital. And then me and my little sister, we took an ambulance to get to our hospitals. And then my dad came up in the middle of the night. He was actually, the reason why he was home is that he was studying because he was getting his degree at a technical college, I believe, for HVAC.
Okay.
So as you were saying about the trades,
So much value.
so that,
Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, my injuries I sustained was I had 2 collapsed lungs. I had a duodenal tear in my second bioframe, which is just like an internal tear within your body. And then I had a floating kidney, and my spleen was messed up. So I was in a coma for like 2 weeks. They induced me into the coma. And then after that, I had to relearn how to walk and everything. I remember being in the hospital, and 1, 2 a.m., like they would wake me up out of a deep sleep. They would prick my thumb. They would put a metal board under my back, a heavy vest on me, take x-rays. And then, hey, hope you sleep well. See ya. So that was my life for about 2 months. And then the rest of my family, my little sister just had a concussion. We later found out that that had led to mental health issues later down the line.
So TBI, huh?
Yeah, and because her brain wasn't developed yet, and I mean, your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25 anyways. So
26 if you guys, 24 if you ladies. 25 is the right even number.
exactly. So and then my older sister, she kind of like she has an indent in her kneecap, and I like to say that it looks like the United States of America. That's how the indent literally looks. And then she ended up losing her baby in a car accident. That was her firstborn, so that was very tough for her and the entire family. Um, and my mother, huge inspiration in my life. Like I told you, she was a school teacher. I was a little bit more advanced early on before my car accident because before I was even in school, she's giving me little sheets like,
Absolutely.
here's how to do your ABCs. Here's how to do simple math. Like, so I went into kindergarten knowing how to say my ABCs and one, two, threes before any,
Yeah, you were already ever
and just
give me first grade, I'll be chilling. Yeah.
yes, she had traumatic brain injury. So I believe it was her left side of the brain, the mechanical function side. And so she couldn't use her motor skills. She couldn't walk or talk. She was in a coma for quite some time. And before she went into that coma, she said, my kids, I want, and then boom. And so that's always stuck with me because that's the last words she's ever said in her life. After that, she couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, she couldn't move. She had a trach in her mouth, or in her neck rather. And 5 years later, she ended up passing away.
Sorry to hear that.
So in 2013, I lost my mother, and that was definitely one of the hardest moments. To answer your question. So yeah, I grew up and that led to an onslaught of different things, trying to fill the void with different things. As I grew up, like I told you, I went and joined a fraternity in college and I was trying to fill the void at that time with alcohol. So I was fighting a silent battle that not a lot of people knew because I was always, smiling, happy go lucky. But on the inside, I was just, breaking down. And at one point, I was drinking like 5 to 6 days a week. Like it was getting bad. And I ended up getting highly addicted to vaping and smoking. And, you know, by the grace of God, I ended up watching a video that said, show me your five closest friends and I'll show you your future.
Absolutely.
And at that moment of time, I zoomed out and I was just like sitting there like, well, these are the people that I'm associating with, and here's what they're doing. So I kind of like looking at it as, a tree. The Bible says we'll know them by their fruits. And, a tree is only as good as the fruit that it bears. But for a tree to grow beautiful and perfect fruit, it has to have the most optimal environment possible. It has to have great sunlight. It has to have an adamant amount of water and it has to have good soil so it can grow and it can flourish. Now, me as that tree, I was not in the environment to flourish at all. I was surrounding myself with people that were, they did not care about my future, and I, surely didn't care about my own. So somebody had to reach out that showed me that they cared, and that's when I started coming back to Christ, started reading my Bible, and I realized Jesus cares.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that changed the entire trajectory of my life. And now I'm surrounded by people that care about me, that care about my future. They check in on me. They make sure, as we talked about, having good habits and getting to the top of the mountain. They're making sure I'm eating healthy, especially as an MMA fighter. Like you have to check all of the boxes.
Yeah.
You cannot leave any stone unturned. So they make sure day in and day out that I'm doing the right things that I need to do to become the champion and to become the best that I can possibly be in what I set out to do, whether that is like you being a great father, being a great leader, or whether it's becoming the MMA champion or becoming, whatever I set out to do, whatever I can hold and picture in my mind, that is what they're ensuring that I do. So I'm just very blessed in life now. I had to go through those trials and tribulations, and I like to tell everybody that the rainbows only come after the rain. And throughout that time period, I was going through a storm. And now I finally get to see the byproduct of that storm, and the rainbows are starting to come out, and life is beginning to be amazing again. And I'm very grateful every single day that I just I'm just blessed to see another day,
Amen.
you know? So yeah, I hope that answers your question. That was one of the hardest things in my life that I had to go through.
No, for sure, man.
I've learned so much from it.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate you for sharing. I asked that question because, I think that ultimately we all go through shit.
Oh yeah.
And some of that is worse for others. Perspective is everything in life because, what I may think is really bad,
Mm.
you may be like, it's nothing, right? Vice versa, right?
Right.
But we all have a story.
Mhm.
And the premise of why I started this thing was because everyone has a story, and ultimately that story is someone else's survival guide.
Right.
There's someone out there. If we have the opportunity to share our story, there's someone out there that's going through, whether that's mom's going through some health battles or losing mom,
Right.
which I think is that really sucks, man. That I don't have any words. I can't say I'm sorry because that doesn't fix anything.
Right.
Um, what I can say is I know that there's a void there, but I know that, obviously mom's proud with everything you're doing as a young man. Seems like you're on the right path. And, you know, you may learn like a lot of us men
Mhm.
that we learn the hard way. I mean, there's only one way and that's the hard way. Right. But ultimately, you know, you could have taken that baggage and used that as a fuel for a different fire.
Oh yeah.
Right. You could have played the woe is me card and been like, you know what? I don't have a mom anymore. That's the reason why I drink.
Right.
You say, I don't have a mom anymore, so this is what I'm making proud. This is what I'm not wasting what I have, the God-given gifts and abilities that I have. I'm not wasting that opportunity,
Right.
right? And I'm drawn oftentimes when I ask these, especially back to the alcoholic father story. And you may have heard this assimilation, but there's twin boys. They're born to an alcoholic father. One turns into a doctor and one turns into an alcoholic. When you ask them both, why are you a doctor?
Mhm.
Because my dad was an alcoholic. Why are you an alcoholic? Because my dad was an alcoholic. Well, when you take the shit sandwich that God gives you, because he's going to give them to you,
Oh yeah.
it's just the way life works.
Naturally.
We don't know what's going to happen in the timeline. But when you take that and you take the free will that he gave you and decide what you want to do with life, how do you fuel your fire? And what fire do you particularly like to fill?
Mhm.
That's your choice as a human.
Right.
And that's why, when I've had people challenge me at this point in my life of, you're successful, the worst 3 words in human language, must be nice.
Mhm.
Hey, I will literally strike you if you say must be nice to me. Because it is. That's the answer, really, at the end of the day. But what isn't nice is the sacrifice and the sleepless nights.
Yep.
You're going to get that along the way in your career because you're early on in your MMA career. Hey, man, you're a champion. Must be nice.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And that's all I'm going to leave it at. I'm not going to tell you about what got me here and why I did what I did and why I'm doing what I'm doing,
Mhm.
but it is. And the reward, it's the reward, right? I always say that the climb to the mountain is more enjoyable than the peak
Yep.
because you're going to get to the top of that mountain and go, hey, look, there's another one over there. Because that's ultimately like what is more fun. I look back on building this business, I look back on anything in life, and I had more fun in the journey than I actually did on the destination.
Mm.
And it's crazy
It is.
because in the moment, you're like, this fucking sucks. This is terrible. I don't know why I'm doing this. But then you look back and you're like, that was actually a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I miss the days when it was the 3 of us, the 2 of us, the me, when this thing started. But I also enjoy where we're at.
Right.
And if you just show that gratitude to God, he just continues to let that cup run over until he decides it doesn't need to anymore.
Yeah.
So although that is not fun stuff, because like I said, losing a parent, regardless of any stage in life, but especially as a young boy,
Mm.
is not fun
Right.
because I know there's a lot of missed opportunity there for you.
Right.
There's a lot of things that mom never got to see you do. She gets to see them just from a really cool seat.
Mhm.
But when you use that as fuel for the fire, and you use that from the alternative perspective of making her proud
Right.
and honoring her legacy,
Yep.
because back to what I said, nothing happens by coincidence. I've never brought
Right.
that freaking thing up in my life on a podcast. There's a lot of things that I bring up. The alcoholic father I've brought up numerous times. I'm sure Maggie could go back through the archives and she could probably overlay a bunch of shit and
Right.
put it all in the same thing. But I've never brought up the 2 times that someone gets to die.
Mm.
And it's ironic that you bring up that story when we look at it in a perspective base, because as long as you continue to honor mom, mom doesn't go away.
Mhm.
And what a blessing that is on our life when we look at it, that we're able to carry that onward
Right.
and tell her story
Exactly.
and honor her, even if she's not here,
Mhm.
even if she's already finished her race.
Yep.
How cool is that?
It's amazing.
You know, I remember before I found Christ, especially, I used to look at death as this gloomy thing.
Right.
But I have an uncle who's a preacher. I need to get him on the damn podcast.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Alcoholic turned preacher. It's a phenomenal story.
Oh,
Great dude. And like true Southern Baptist, like that dude finds the Holy Spirit. And I need him to have the Holy Spirit because he's a quiet guy otherwise. Like he's like the most calm dude in the world, but he preached both of his parents' funerals. And I remember my grandpa's funeral in particular. I played a song. I play guitar and sing a little bit, but nothing crazy. I'm not a artist by any means. But I was singing, Even Though I'm Leaving by Luke Combs. And I got to the last verse, which is literally about dad dying and singing about their dad and my grandfather. And I needed some strength. And I remember looking around the room and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to pull from one of my uncles because these guys he's stoked, right?
Mhm.
Or my dad. My one uncle sitting by my grandma, I can hear her crying. It don't work. Ain't it, homie? That one ain't it. And I'm like playing extra long, like, you know,
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at dad. Dad's only cried one time through this whole thing that I know of. It was when him and I hugged. There's another song out there called, it's like your book. I'm gonna forget it now.
Right.
But it's literally about I've only seen my dad cry one time. It's when grandpa died type of thing. But that's pretty much what I thought that was. Look at dad, he's crying. Well, at least I'm doing my job because I'm getting emotions out there. Like, so I'm like, all right, my uncle who's preaching this thing, he's it. Man, that guy was like a freaking melted pan of butter. Like just over there balling. But the second he got up on that freaking pulpit, man, he was running there. Because he's talking about he got the ultimate gift when he passed away.
Right.
And my grandfather was a man, that's something that Maggie can for sure snip. 4th grade education, taught himself how to read and write through the Bible.
Wow.
And I'm talking 1940s 4th grade education. So we're talking like a kindergarten education of the day, right?
Yeah.
Like they were barely teaching them kids how to freaking count.
Mhm.
But he was this very successful man by a lot of rights. And on his deathbed, because he was in hospice, he had cancer, lived a very long, great. On his deathbed, the sun we noticed was going to be hitting from his window every morning. Hey, Grandpa, do you want us to move your bed? Because it'll help you sleep. When we left, my cousin stayed behind. It was us boys there. My cousin goes, Grandpa, you sure you don't want to move this bed? He goes, no, because Jesus, the Lord is in the east, and I want to meet my creator with open arms. And it's like, here's a man who literally, I mean, I would get text from him, and you'd have to like get out the cipher to figure it out. But he would text because that's who he was. He would connect.
Fully.
And here's a man who was so ingrained in the Bible, even though he couldn't probably articulate it to the fullest degree, that he knew that that's what he wanted because the Lord is in the east. That's what it is in Scripture. And it was crazy. It was like, oh, yeah, I know where that guy went. But that's when death became less morbid, right? And yeah, you know, I tell people all the time when they're, because here's the thing, man, I'm a realist. You do what you want to do. I don't care. Follow Christ, don't follow Christ. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll talk to you about it and we can go from there. And they're like, oh, well, what if I'm right? I'm like, well, if you're right, then we both win because you're right. Congratulations. There's nothing after.
Right.
But what if I'm
Mhm.
and you're wrong? Just saying. And the thing is, man, like, the reason why I don't push it down folks' throats, my grandmother never stepped foot in a church. She never saw my uncle preach. On her, a month before her 83rd birthday, on her death, like, as she was dying, she died 4 months later of dementia. She called my uncle and said, I'm ready to pray that prayer. How cool is that? And the fuller part of that story, and I'm sorry that we're on a morbid topic. So I really do apologize.
You know,
I was going to sing a song by Tyler Childers called "Follow You to Virgie," which is about following someone to Virgie in Appalachian culture is ecstasy, which is paradise. And when you look at the loose translation of it, and once again, it's all open to interpretation. I looked at it as my grandma's going to Virgie, which is heaven, and she was an Appalachian woman. We're gonna follow her. And I'm sitting there going, Lord, I can't play this song without knowing that, you know, I mean, I know she lived a good life. She was woman that would give you your shirt off her back, like just meeting you, she would, and that's who she was. Like she lived a Christ-like life, but just didn't follow. But then my uncle stopped me, which was weird because it was in the order. But once again, no coincidences. He stopped me and went, no, you're not playing, I'm preaching, because he felt the Holy Spirit. I'm like, cool. But then he told me that story, or he told the room that story, and I'm like, thanks, God. You know, and when you start looking at it that way, you're like, well, shit. Yeah, no, that works. Then I want to go out there and play the song. Forgot the words, that's the whole thing, but we got it done, you know? And, but to wrap that up and back to your thing, man, like, I'm going to continue to talk about them.
Mm.
You're going to continue to talk about mom.
Right.
How cool is that we get that power that, yeah, man, they just went to their next stage.
Exactly.
They just got on another train. That's all. They're waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time you could find that peace is through Christ.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
You cannot find that peace in anything else. Granted, I'm not a doctor and I study other religions because I think that's what makes a good Christian, in my opinion. I think you should at least look at them. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, like Cliff Kingsbury said, I think it's his name. Who's the guy that preaches on campuses? Cliff?
Yeah, Cliff.
I can't remember his last name. I'm probably butchering it. I know it's okay. But when he was asked, what do you think about Jews? And he goes, I worship a Jew. I'm also think that we have a just God. I don't think that the pure Muslims who are actually doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, they think of Jesus as as a prophet, just not the Messiah.
Right.
They may get a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. It's not our job to judge.
Exactly.
It's like when somebody yes.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody who was I to say, oh, did my grandmother get into heaven? Who was I?
Mm-hmm.
Sing the damn song, Dylan. Shut up and sing the song, bummy. But you wanted your reassurance, you got it.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's so cool. I'll get off my soapbox. Life is just so cool. And I think what you're doing is cool, man. I think that chasing your dreams, Gary Vee says, screw your life up before you're 30 and you'll be all right.
Right.
And that's, I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but you're taking a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And risk is the only time we get the opportunity to screw things up.
Exactly. And that's the only way we can succeed too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a gamble. It's a gamble to start anything. It was going to start dating my wife.
Yeah.
And she took a hell of a gamble on me. If you don't outkick your coverage, man, you ain't selling for shit. You're a terrible salesman. And then if you're in sales, man, if your wife ain't hotter than you are, you got a problem. So
that's a good
but, but everything worth doing has a risk involved.
Right.
It doesn't mean be risk adverse.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean don't take risk. What it means is that put yourself in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you for doing it. 24 years old, man, doing that stuff. You're going to be successful in life. And it may not be in MMA. I'm not saying that it won't be.
Right.
But learning those intangibles that no one can take from you, because MMA careers come to an end. Roofing careers come to an end. But building good habits, which I guess is kind of the crux of the whole conversation.
Right.
And being able to take those with you is so, so crucial. Well, as we get to the end here, man, I'd like to open up the last few minutes. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to share? And the floor.
Yeah, just a little bit, because the last part that you were just talking about kind of like made me remember a few different things. And one thing being that in this life, all things are temporary.
Absolutely.
The good, the bad, everything's going to be temporary. And with that, and with we don't know what tomorrow brings, it kind of makes me think of this proverb. I'm not sure if you ever heard about it, but it's basically about tomorrow. And there is this old man, and he has a young, strong son, and they have a horse farm, which is kind of funny because
my wife's in the horse business. Yeah.
So, but one day they wake up and they notice that their horse is missing. one of their horses is missing. And the whole townspeople come and they're like, "Oh, what a catastrophe. This is terrible. Like, you're not gonna make as much money. Like, you just lost your horse." And the father says, "We'll see what tomorrow brings." The next day, the horse comes back with a wild horse. And everybody in the town comes and they're like, "What a blessing this is. You know, you just got another horse. Like, you're gonna make even more money. Like, this is such a blessing. This is amazing." And the old man says, "We'll see what tomorrow brings." The next day, the son is trying to train the wild horse and he falls off and breaks his leg. And the townspeople come and they're like, "Oh, this is terrible. Like, the horse was such a negative thing to happen. It was such a drawback on your life because this hurt your son. Now you're not going to have as much help on the farm. Now you're not going to make as much money. And this is just terrible." And the old man says, "We'll see what tomorrow brings." The next day, the military shows up. "We're here to enlist your son. There's a war going on. We need him." And the old man goes, "My son broke his leg. He can't enlist." So the moral of that story is just we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know if it's a blessing going on or if it's a trial and a tribulation going on in our lives. We'll never know, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. And that's kind of what was on my heart to say, but
Absolutely.
pretty much, all I have for
No, and that's what the wrap of the conversation is like you should spend less time worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow and more time about what's happening today. Like constantly tell people that I'm speaking to, especially like be where your feet are.
mm,
Just be here today.
yeah,
We all got shit going on. We all like everybody has negatives, positives, whatever. But if you just focus on where you were placed at right now, like for this meeting, my phone buzzed in my pocket 5,000
yep,
times. But if I just focus on this moment with you, it's amazing how much value we can get out of it because,
right,
you know, it, if we stop worrying about what's next instead of worrying about what's now, well, and back to the kids thing, because that's just a hot topic for me in life right now. Kids change so fast.
oh yeah,
My daughter is 15 months old. She was just running around the office right before you got here. She went with my sister-in-law, and um, she's now walking, talking. And 12 months ago, I was okay. She ready to roll over you? Is she opening up her eyes? Can she smile at? And now she does all those things, but now she's doing more. And if I would not have been present in those moments and it was instead of worried about the things that were coming tomorrow,
right,
who knows? I wouldn't have actually been able to enjoy the moment
exactly,
because your kids are only as young as they are today. We're only as young as we are today.
yeah, and we're constantly changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And if you take everything, it's life is 100% perspective based. If everything is happening to you instead of for you,
yep,
you're just gonna have a bad life. I'm sorry. And I feel bad for you.
yeah,
But if life happens for you, like, yeah, I didn't get that job. I didn't get that deal. I didn't get the girl. But I'll tell you this, brother. I was in a relationship with a girl for 9 years. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and I'm so thankful when God was telling me 150 times a year, ain't it, homie?
right,
Don't do it. But young man, stupid. So I wouldn't have the life that I do today with that beautiful girl and our little baby girl.
yeah, and what a blessing it
It
is.
is. And I constantly am talking to younger men, and they're like, I just want to settle down. I want to find the girl. I'm like, dude, my wife and I met 400 miles away from home. We lived an hour apart from each other almost our entire life.
Mhm,
God will let it happen when it's supposed to happen.
right,
Don't worry about you.
yep,
He's got a plan. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not
yeah.
if.
Your timing, God's time.
Tell them your plans. They'll laugh in your face, baby, every time.
Yep,
Well, Josh, I really appreciate it, man. And this was a really good conversation. I didn't know what to expect with an MMA fighter because I've been around a lot of them, and as I'm sure you have too. But they're usually really good people, and you fall into that category, man. So
appreciate it.
we really appreciate you coming in. We look forward to seeing what you're going to continue to do, and as we wrap this up, yeah, like I say on everyone, I mean, we went for an hour and a half on this thing. If you listen all the way to the end, you got some value out of the day. My biggest ask, as always, is we don't do this thing for money. We don't do it for anything aside from to impact people's lives. And I guess my ask is, if you got some value out of today, and let's unbox it real fast, right? We talked about adversity, we talked about trials and tribulations. There's a lot of conversation about faith. If you know anybody that just needs to hear the message that we shared today, and full disclosure, this wasn't meant to be. We don't sit down and say what we're going to talk about. We just talk about what's going to happen. And it just happened to be a conversation about faith. Not necessarily a faith-based podcast, but just it's who we are as people. So if that offended you, unsubscribe. I don't know what to tell you. If you liked it, obviously like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. That's always my ask, because I'm the one paying the damn bills here. And this thing doesn't make me money. It sure as hell costs me, but we do it because it impacts people's lives. So you got some value out of it today. We just ask that you share it with somebody that you think can hear this message. And I guess with that, I'll just say, keep asking yourself, what's your why?